Joe Booni and Joe Sports Channel proudly present Respect Women 110% t-shirts. These shirts come in 4 different colors: blue, pink, green, and yellow. These shirts cost exactly $25 US and Canadian. With each purchase, $5 will be donated to the Women's Breast Cancer Research Awareness. And don't forget, every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go to YouTube and search up Joe Sports Channel to catch up on new sports news and any special guests that may appear. And if you want to purchase more merchandise, go to joebooney48.wixsite.com/merch.
Welcome to Joe Sports Channel. You can follow me on Joe the Fighting J on Instagram. You can follow me on Take Your Devil and hashtag Joe Sports Channel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in the Atlanta Hawks play-by-play announcer, Bob Rathbun. How are you, Bob?
Hey, great, Joe. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, my friend. How are you doing?
Excellent. Excellent. Happy to be with you.
It's good to be with you. How is the pandemic treating you, my friend?
Well, I think pretty much like everybody else. We're just trying to take it day by day and hope that we can all stay healthy and safe and get this behind us and get back to our lives. That would be nice.
For sure, it would be nice. Now, talking about the bubble, the National Basketball Association, the Lakers winning. I know the Hawks are in that division. Take me back to, the bubble during the National Basketball season, and things were working out really good, and then we had this virus, and it kind of went downhill. What went through your mind at that time?
Well, I remember back in March when we shut down, I thought we'd be out a couple of weeks, and come back and put our seasons back together and finish it out. No thought whatsoever that we would have played our last game, and we still haven't played a game since then, and won't for another month and a half, it looks like, or close to 2 months. So very odd, very strange. Kudos to the NBA for putting the bubble together. Saved about $1.5 billion in TV money for the league, both here and in Canada. So that was a good thing. Guys were able to get paid and save a lot of their contracts. So that was great. I think, Joe, if they knew then what they know now, we probably would have seen all 30 teams go to the bubble and finish out the season down there in Orlando. But I really felt bad for the Raptors. I mean, just to, not be able to, and the Blue Jays, not to be able to play games at home, have any home to go to, was really sad to me. The Raptors were probably in the bubble as long as anybody, even though they lost in the second round because they were in Florida for so long before they went to Orlando. So very strange, very odd time. And hopefully we can get our new season started and get through this.
For sure. I have a really good question to ask you. Okay. The Toronto Blue Jays played in Buffalo, and we had the Scotiabank Arena, all the American teams coming to Canada. Why couldn't Toronto play in Toronto? And why couldn't all these Americans come to Canada? But we had the National Hockey League. Americans come over here, like to Canada.
Well, the going in was not the problem. It was the getting out. And with a 14-day quarantine, either coming or going, it made it impossible for teams to go in and out. I hope that we can see a relaxation of those restrictions, because, like, take an NBA team, for example. When we go to Toronto, we fly into, Pearson, but we're over at the private aviation side. So we're in a private plane. We get on a private bus, and we can go to our hotel, and we will have no interaction with fans, with anybody at the hotel. We could be in a strict quarantine situation. We can go through our business, go to the game, play the game, get on the bus, and go home. So we don't really, even if we had a player that was, or a member of the traveling party experiencing problems, we'd probably leave them at home, number one. And number two, we're not going to have any interaction with the folks in Toronto to begin with. So I'm hoping that they can relax those restrictions, and the Jays and the Leafs and the Raptors can all get to play at home this season.
It would be really nice, because folks, you look at Toronto, they haven't played on months on end in Toronto. I was talking to Jack Armstrong on Thursday. He was on my show. And we want to see Toronto playing in Toronto. We want to see Atlanta come to Toronto. We want to see Atlanta play in their home stadium. It's nice to go and see, the old, I guess this is a new era, but the old era. We want to return to the old era. But it looks like this pandemic is still, it's bigger than before, Bob. It really is. And, you looked at the Atlanta Hawks, they were 20-47. They haven't played for a very long time. Now, as a Hawks commentator yourself, what do the Hawks need out of themselves to move forward and at least push 30, 40 game winning season? Because the last time I remember the Hawks had 50, 60 games was, I think, back in 2014, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
14-15.
What year was it?
14-15.
14-15. So what do the Hawks need to do to take that extra step to move forward, not move behind?
Well, several things, Joe. I think, the big thing is where we are as a franchise. We only have 9 players as we speak tonight. We only have 9 players under contract. And one of them is a guy that's come out of the G League, Brandon Goodwin. And another guy is Bruno Fernando, who, is a raw rookie last year out of Maryland. So we don't have any depth at all. And the reason is because we're waiting to restart so we can sign some free agents and make some trades and bolster our bench. But the young group that they've opted to go with, they're pretty good, but they're very young. They're all 23 years old or younger. And the NBA, when you're a young team, the NBA makes you pay for your inexperience. Very few, if any, young teams do well, even make the playoffs. And if they get there, they don't last very long. So we've still got some growing pains to go through with this group to be able to get over the hump and make a playoff challenge. I think the big thing for the Hawks is that whenever we get around to playing again, to get to the end of the season and play games of significance. These young players, this core group that we have, and I'm talking about Trae Young and Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, et cetera. These guys have not played a game of significance yet. There's been no pressure to win, no pressure to perform, and they've got to experience that for us to be able to get better, make the games meaningful, and then win them. So you can build some confidence to make a run toward the playoffs, because you don't do it just once or twice a week. You've got to be able to win consistently to get to the playoffs. So I think that's kind of where we are, Joe, right now.
Well, it's an 82-game season usually, right? So I think when the new season comes up, I think the Hawks will win more than 30 games. That's my predictions. I think they're going to have a good season. I think what they need to do is just play as a team. The standings are the standing, but play as a team. Build off last game to next game. You know what I mean? Now, I know during this pandemic, there isn't much traveling. You think in the new season, you'll be coming to Toronto, and Toronto will be traveling to Memphis and San Antonio and Atlanta and Los Angeles. You think we'll have that finally, or do you think we're still in the bubble?
No, I don't think there's any appetite to go back into a bubble. I think that was a one-time phenomenon, and that's it. We'll travel again, when we restart the season. I think it's going to change. I think they're going to go more to a baseball model. Like, for example, the Raptors go to play the Knicks twice in New York, and they go to Brooklyn twice, and they go to Boston twice. I think you may very well see a situation where you play all 6 of those road games in one trip. So you just don't have the coming and going. Yeah. We had a week last year. We played in New York on Monday, came home, had a home game on Wednesday, and played in Brooklyn on Friday. It made no sense. We checked out Monday of our New York hotel, and we checked back in on Thursday. It was.
It doesn't make sense, no.
So those days are over. We'll go and play the Knicks and the Nets and the Celtics and the Sixers and make it one trip. When we go out west, we'll probably stay in California for a week, play the 2 LA teams, go to San Francisco, go to Sacramento, and we'll be done with California. So I think you'll see a much more condensed travel, but we will travel.
Somebody's asking in the chat, what do you think about the Toronto Raptors?
I love them. I think they're great. Even without Kawhi, I thought they had a magnificent season last year. Came up a little short in the playoffs, but those things happen. But they've got an unbelievable coach and Nick Nurse. They've just got a great winning coach. I mean, they won a lot of games for a long time. They hadn't had, until they won it 2 years ago, they really hadn't had the playoff success to mirror what they accomplished in the regular season. But I love them. Kyle Lowry is this tough-nosed, hard-nosed player. Siakam is great and really coming into his own. And, the young guys are starting to come. It's a very good team. And I thought they would do well without Kawhi. They did well without Kawhi the year before. He sort of helped them get over the hump. But, if that shot doesn't go in against Philadelphia, they may still be waiting for a championship. I mean, that's how crazy the playoffs can be.
Who are you going for, Golden State or Toronto? That's what I want to know, Bob.
What's that?
Who are you going for, Golden State or Toronto in that series?
Had they met
in the championship, who are you going
for? Yes. I thought Toronto had it all working. I really did. I thought you could tell at that time the Warriors were starting to leak a little oil. They were at the end 5 years in a row in the finals, and it was starting to take its toll. And Toronto was kind of on the rise, ascending. So it didn't surprise me. I was rooting for Toronto because I wanted to see the Eastern Conference win.
It's been a while.
Well, I mean, LeBron won enough, but I root for the East. LeBron won in Miami and he won in Cleveland, but I root for the Eastern Conference because that's our conference.
What's up with LeBron switching teams? He always builds the championship around him. That's what's great about him. Look at the bubble. I believe myself. Maybe you can answer this as well. Without LeBron, I don't think there'd be a season.
Well,
it's not the season, but I think he kind of gave that extra step to people. Let's go and play. Let's go and play.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in the bubble. When Milwaukee decided not to play, that kind of sent everything off a little bit, off kilter. I'm glad they hung in there and completed it. The league is bigger than LeBron. Doesn't seem that way with all the media attention sometimes. But, I've been around long enough to remember when Michael Jordan retired. And everybody said, well, that's it. There'll not be another superstar to carry the league like Jordan did. And lo and behold, here comes LeBron and Kobe, and they pick right up, where Jordan left off. So there will always be that next superstar to come along. What's so remarkable about LeBron is that he's as good now as he was, 15 years ago. That's the amazing part, that he's just got one of these incredible bodies. He doesn't get hurt. He's remarkable in that he can lift everybody with him, unlike anybody I think I've ever seen. If you get on LeBron's team, you got a pretty good chance of winning. Now, he demands a lot of his teammates for sure, but you take LeBron off the Lakers, and last year when they didn't have him, they were terrible. He's able to manipulate trades, needed Anthony Davis and got him, despite the fact he had 2 years left on his contract. So he's player, coach, GM, owner. I mean, he does it all. And he's a one-man force that is just proven to be unstoppable.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
I got to give respect to him, and he is the GOAT in today's day. Michael Jordan back then was a GOAT, and people are saying, who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? That's a debate back and forth. Personally, myself, I'm 20 years old. I haven't seen Michael Jordan play, but I've seen highlights. I prefer Michael Jordan any day over LeBron. That's my preference. I know you've watched him. You're a lot older than me, and you've seen Michael Jordan play. You probably even broadcast Michael Jordan's game sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Different era back then, Bob. It's a total different era.
It is. And I think the one thing about the debate, and if you watch the Last Dance documentary this past summer, you could see it. And that is, players of Jordan's time played under a different set of playing rules, where you could hand check and you could hold and grab, and it was a much more physical game than LeBron has ever seen. There is no doubt in my mind that if Michael Jordan played today under the rules of today, where you can't breathe on anybody above the three-point line, if he played under those rules and you couldn't hit him, for fear of a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2, he'd well average over 50. And would probably average close to 60, because he'd live at the foul line. You couldn't stop him once he got going. He was terrific in the mid-range. There's no telling how many points a game he could have scored. And that's the one big difference, I think. When you compare Michael and LeBron, they're both great. They're both all-time greats. I mean, they're both going to do things. I mean, LeBron's going to be the all-time leading scorer in the history of our league. By the time he's 4,000 points away from Kareem. So he'll eclipse that. He may play till he plays with his kid, till Bronny comes along. So he's got a long way to go, and he's going to set records out so far that, they'll be untouchable. But there are a lot of great players.
Absolutely.
Any review of the greatest players in NBA history has to include Wilt Chamberlain, has to include Elgin Baylor, has to include, the legendary greats of the game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did stuff that, LeBron hasn't even come close to approaching in terms of his MVPs and all of the All-Stars and all that stuff. So a lot of great players, a lot of different circumstances, and they all should be, I think, saluted and enjoyed. Bill Russell was the greatest winner in the history of North American sports. When you consider his Olympic gold medals, when you consider undefeated University of San Francisco national championship, 11 rings with the Celtics. I mean, you just go on and on and on. The list of greats.
It used to be Boston.
LeBron's the next one.
The Lakers and Celtics used to be back and forth, and back. And we're finally seeing that once again. Boston's getting better. The Lakers are better. They got Anthony Davis, LeBron James. They got a team. They've got a great coach, good organization. I have a feeling who's going to be a really good team is the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have a good organization, good team behind them. They're young, like Atlanta. They're pushing to something that a lot of people are going to be surprised for.
Well, that's a great point, Joe, and I think that's one big advantage that Phoenix has over us and the other 7 teams that were left out of the bubble. They got to play. They got to make that run at the end where they went 8-0 in the bubble, gave them confidence, gave them experience, gave them an opportunity to come together as a team for the first time since they've had this group together. Monty Williams does a great job with them. There's no telling what that would have meant to the Hawks if we would have had the chance to go down to Orlando and play, win, start feeling good about ourselves as we put our next team together. So kudos to Phoenix. They got the job done, but they were also afforded an opportunity that 8 of us were not.
What is the best memorable moment for you watching the Hawks?
Oh, winning 60.
What
Winning
year?
60 games, going to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in our history. Just unbelievable. And, the best part about it was to see the city get excited about the Hawks, really for the first time since Dominique played back in the 80s, to see the whole city come alive and everybody watching the games, everybody going to the games, winning every night, incredible win streak. We went unbeaten in the month of January. That's never been done in the history of professional basketball. We had a great team, selfless, starless, moved the basketball, shot it well. The one thing that we had to do to pull it off and go all the way to get to the finals, we had to stay healthy. We did not have that alpha dog like a LeBron that we could just throw the ball to and say, go get us a bucket. And we just didn't have that. We were greater than the sum of our parts. And by the time we got to the end, we were so banged up that we could not. And even though we got swept by Cleveland, 2 of the games, we had the lead in the fourth quarter, all 4 games. And 2 of the games, we were right there at the end, but we just didn't have enough to overcome our injuries. But it was a great team. It's the most fun I've ever had. It's funny. They talk about resting guys and load management.
I'm not a fan of that resting players.
When we were on our winning streak in December and January and February, when we were on that winning streak, you couldn't wait to get to the arena and play. There was no talk of load management. There was no talk of resting guys. Everybody wanted to play. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. And it was great fun.
Now, Bob, you have a 24-year career as a Hawks commentator.
Mm-hmm.
Before all this started, what drew you to basketball? How did your career start?
How do I what?
How did your career start?
Oh, gosh, Joe, it's an amazing start for me. As I look back, it was just incredible. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, Salisbury, North Carolina. And one day, and I don't remember my parents, prodding me to do it, but I just picked up the telephone one day and I called the announcer on duty and complimented him on the station and how much I enjoyed listening to the sports. And he said, "Well, why don't you come down and we'll give you a tour of the station?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." My mom and dad took me down and I immediately fell in love with radio. And every Sunday I would go and hang out, and I was 12 years old. Took out the garbage and, got the guys some water. I mean, just do what every a 12-year-old kid could do. One day the sports guy showed up and he said, "Well, if you like radio and you like sports, help us broadcast these American Legion baseball games," and which is basically high school ball in the summertime. And they were broadcast on the radio because the team was so good. They were a great state championship team. And so I would keep stats and hang out. And one night he said, "Well, are you ready to make your debut?" And I said, "Well, I guess I am." And I got to broadcast the bottom of the 7th inning of a game. And our first baseman hit a home run. And that was my first time on the air. And really, basically, have been with it ever since. Now, I didn't obviously go back on the air for a while, but by the time I was 19, Joe, I was on the air full time, and I was working full time, going to school full time to Catawba College in my hometown of Salisbury, and that's what started it for me. And I've been doing it pretty much ever since.
Good for you. That's what I always dream about doing one day, is to to be a TV broadcaster, to talk, National Basketball Association, NHL, something like that. When I was 3 years old, I've always wanted to be a reporter. I even have pictures when I was little. I don't know if you know the commentator Joe Boland. He's the Maple Leafs commentator. And
I know the name. I don't know him.
You don't know him, but anyways, long story short, I used to always just mock him, holy mac, and I want to be a broadcaster. And since I was 3, I've always wanted to be a broadcaster. I study my stuff. I think I know my stuff. I think I'm blessed. I have a lot of people that support me all around, and it's an honor to have you on. And
Thank you, Joe.
I hear a lot of good things about you, and I've heard you over the years and all that. And it's an honor. It really is. It's a gift from God. Seriously, Bob. It really is.
Well, thank you. I every time I walk into the arena in Toronto, I still call it Air Canada Center, but this
I like the Air Canada Center. I really.
But I walk in and I look up at the Foster Hewitt gondola, and you walk down the hallway and you see the pictures of all those great Leafs players and coaches, and I love hockey. I broadcast minor league hockey for 3 years and loved every second of it. Love the sport, love the people, love the game, and so I'm a big hockey fan. In addition to obviously the basketball, and the success of the Raptors, has turned the country into a basketball country. Hockey is always going to be number one,
Sure.
But you just look at the kids that have come out of that Toronto area since the Raptors have been on the scene. When Vince went there, sort of electrified the country to basketball.
Bosch was a great player too. You got the blood clot. That was
Yeah.
very unfortunate,
Yeah. And the kids have started playing basketball, and now we've got, Canada's number 2 to the U.S. in NBA players. So it's great, and we love coming to Toronto. It's just a wonderful city. Just love everything about it. It's so international. We miss coming so badly. Vince. One of the games that got wiped out in the pandemic last April was Vince's last game in Toronto. And we were so looking forward to broadcasting that game.
He's a great player, and he still is.
Oh, yeah. He didn't get cheated. I'll tell you that.
I like it. No, I know you used to be play-by-play for the Atlanta Braves for almost, I think, 19 if I'm not wrong.
Yes, 10 years. Mm-hmm.
10 years or 19 years?
10 years for the Braves. And like 19 in Major League Baseball. 19
in Major League Baseball. Now, the key is Major League Baseball, MLB is a lot slower than NBA. Now, commentating in basketball and commentating Major League, what do you like better? Because I know the tone is totally different in baseball and basketball. One's faster, the other one is slower. It's like a slow pitch, a fast pitch.
Well, I think, Joe, they both present challenges to the broadcaster. On the NBA side, you've got to be able to edit yourself quickly. You don't have time for long stories. You don't have time to, get into these long, drawn-out conversations because you'll miss 3 baskets. So you got to be able to, think and act quickly. Baseball is the 180 of that. You got all the time in the world. But the challenge for that is to keep it interesting, to keep the conversation lively. And the preparation that you need for baseball to pull it off and do it well is immense. You've just got to have, especially as long as these games go now. I haven't done baseball in years, but I watch the games, and it's not the same game that I grew up broadcasting. With the analytics crowd has taken over, and it's ruined the game. I mean, it's just a walk, a strikeout, and a home run. And so for the broadcaster, it's a really big challenge to be able to tell stories and keep it going when there's literally no action. It's hard to get a base hit against the shift. It's unless you go the other way. When everything is walk, strikeout, home run. Nobody's on base. Nobody's stealing. Nobody's hit and run. Everybody that comes out of the bullpen throws 100 miles an hour. There's no contact. I mean, it's really hard. So maybe I would struggle now doing baseball, whereas before, I was doing the Braves. We had Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. The games lasted 2 hours. I mean, they were so good. We did a game in Philadelphia one night. Maddox pitched. It was an April game. Felt like it was about 50 below zero. And Maddox pitched, and we were out of there in 2 hours.
Holy smokes.
Because it was strike one, strike two, and it was over.
That's a fast ball game.
And there was contact. He wasn't afraid of contact. But he would pitch a complete game in 2 hours and throw well under 100 pitches and still strike out, 7, 8, 9 guys.
I was so happy the Braves had a phenomenal year this year. They had a great year.
They had a good year.
They're a couple inches away from the World Series. Now, I don't know if you remember. Oh, you sure remember this? The Atlanta Thrashers.
Much as I love hockey,
they got rid of them, and
they should still be here, Joe. They should still be here.
Why did they get rid of them? I just don't
ownership panicked.
Is it all that? Just ownership panic? Because I'm a Leafs fan, but I used to always love to watch the Thrashers, and Bufflin was a Thrasher at once.
Yeah, a lot of good guys.
Good team. Bob, what is a key to success in the broadcasting industry?
Oh boy, good question. I think a lot of it starts inside you. I think you have to love what you do. You have to love the grind. It's one of those businesses that from the outside looks so glamorous, looks like so much fun, and it is. But what people don't see are the long hours and the hard work and all the preparation it takes to really do a great job. I think you have to be likable to your bosses, to the fans, to the team, to the management. I think you have to be a good teammate. You've got to be able to work with your partner, your producer, your director. There's a ratings element to this. We've got to attract an audience because that's how we make our money with advertising. So I think all of those things, but I think you have to be a good storyteller and a good communicator to pull it off.
And you got to love your job. You really do.
No question. Yeah. No question. Yeah. You're working, holidays and weekends and, it's one of the ththings about baseball, the neighbors would say, "Hey, we're having a cookout Saturday night. Come on over." And I'm saying, "Well, sorry, we're playing Pittsburgh." So, you don't a chance for that. Baseball comes during the best time of the year in the summertime. A little bit easier in the winter, but you're fighting the ice and snow traveling up north, all winter. So, but it's part of it, no complaints whatsoever.
The new normal has come, and in life in general, in sports, you look at hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer, all of that. When everything goes back to its normal, hopefully shortly, soon, I hope, because I miss watching, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you think it will be back to where it was at last time before this pandemic came? Do you think there will always be masks, people coming in with masks, or are we just?
No. Well, the next thing to come is probably going to be treatment for this, much wider scale than we have, and then there's going to be some sort of a vaccine at some point that will knock it down. Now, I don't think it's going to come back overnight. I think it is going to be a gradual thing because remember, we've got to get people back into the habit of going to the games. So many of our cities are ghost towns because they're working from home. Office buildings that are full during the week are not full right now. So we've got to get people coming back downtown, either to live, work, or both. And we've got to get them back in the habit of spending discretionary income on games. These are not cheap tickets, as you know. And we've got to, people, the longer that they stay away, the more the tendency might be is, you know what, I really want to go see the Jays, but do I really want to spend a couple $100 tonight? on tickets and parking and food and beverage. And so we got to get people back in the habit of being fans again.
It's like a routine, making your bed, you stop making your bed for a very long time, and you got to get in the habit to making it again. Get in the habit to go and support the local teams. And I'm sure Atlanta, when there's a lot of games, is it mostly sold out crowds, like on a good Saturday, a good Friday during the week? What does the arena hold up to?
Well, now that we've redone it,
congratulations,
a little over 17,000.
17,000,
which is perfect for us. But here's a typical pandemic story. We redid our arena basically to not have social distancing. We built it so you can socialize, so you can have 10, 20 people around a bar. We have a bar in the end zone. We got them on each side. We got them upstairs where people congregate in common areas. Now what do? Because when fans come back, even if it's just a handful, it's not going to be like it was. How do we prepare the food? How do we serve the food? How do we handle beverage? All these things for all arenas have got to be answered. How are we going to do this? If you got a family of 4, are they going to be allowed to all sit together? Or do you have to space them a little? Or how do you do? And how far do they have to be from the next guy? And
it's a lot of
things that have got to be thought out. So it's going to be a much different looking arena when we do get back to having fans. And I think we'll have fans. There may be some cities, I don't know the restrictions in Toronto, but I know like in LA and San Francisco and Sacramento, Portland, there's a lot of questions to be answered as to, can you have fans? And if you can, how many? Whereas in some other places like Atlanta, the Falcons, the Atlanta United, they have fans. But that's also, with the roof open, it's an outdoor stadium. What do you do when it's inside? So all those things will be figured out here in the next few months.
I hope so. Tom Brady.
It will. This is our business. And for us to survive, just not to put the games on television, which is a big part of our business, but this is our business. We have to figure this out. We have to get our fans feeling safe and comfortable to come to our games again.
For sure. And I heard the ratings were pretty low for basketball during the
they've been low across the board for all sports. And I think we've forgotten how to have fun. We're every waking minute. If you turn on the news, which I don't a lot, but if you are a news junkie, oh my God, you would think the world is coming to an end. Well, when you get that beaten down on your head every day since March 11th, after a while you say, you know what, I give up. That's it. We've got to feel good about ourselves again, to socialize. We're social creatures. It's not our nature to be holed up in a room talking on Zoom all the time.
Yeah.
We want to get together.
And see
the faster we can get back to that, the better. But we have to do it safely.
Sure. Now I want to switch gears quickly into the National Football League. Tom Brady, they're 5-2. Will Brady get his 7th ring on a new team?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Playing good football.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's amazing. There's no question about that. But the playoffs are a little different animal. We'll see. A little bit tougher as he ages with a new team. He can't move. He can throw, but he can't move. So all these things, but it brings up a great point, Joe, about the difference in the major league sports. Right now, as we sit here, we have no idea who's going to win the Super Bowl, right? Right? We have no idea. You have no idea who's going to win the Stanley Cup next year, right?
I hope the Leafs and I hope the Packers can.
Yeah, but I mean, you have no idea. You have no idea who's going to win the World Series next year, right? But in the NBA, you pretty much know it's going to be the Lakers and, somebody out of the East. That's sad to me. Like, before it even starts,
it's been like
who's going to win.
It's been like that for quite a while.
That has been the nature of basketball. You talked earlier about the Lakers and the Celtics. They've won 34 of how many championships have we handed out? 75?
75, yeah. Something
They've won 34 of them. Two franchises. It's crazy. But the difference in basketball is that one guy can make a monumental difference. No other sport does one guy constitute 20% of your team on the floor. And that's the difference.
Yeah, like I said, take LeBron off that team. They're nothing. Look at Cleveland.
No, they stink.
Cleveland is nothing to nobody.
Yeah, Cleveland can't get out of their own way since he left. But that's the magnificence of LeBron, in my view, that he can lift these guys up to championship stage. Contavious Caldwell-Pope is from Georgia. He played at the University of Georgia. He is a nice guy. Love him dearly. I'm happy for his success. But he's not a frontline NBA guard, but he sure played like one because he felt bulletproof. I'm with Anthony Davis. I'm with LeBron. And mentally, they upped their game.
Best three-pointer, in your opinion, who do you think it is? All time.
Who's what?
Best three-pointer of all time.
Best three-point shooter?
Of all time.
Well, I must give it one caveat. You got to remember, when the three-point shot came in, nobody took it for years. The Lakers and the Sixers, I think the year was 83 NBA Finals. The two teams combined to make 1-3 the entire series. Now, Houston takes 60 a game. Had they shot the ball then, like they do now, Larry Bird probably would have been considered the greatest three-point shooter of all time.
Oh yeah.
But it just wasn't. It just was not a big part of the game at that time. So you have to kind of up it to today's standards. And certainly Steph Curry is in the consideration, if not the greatest, certainly one of. You got Reggie Miller, you got Ray Allen, you got a lot of guys that will be up there at the top. Klay Thompson, for that matter.
Phenomenal player. I love him.
39 points in one quarter. Are you kidding me? It's crazy. So I think there's a lot of guys, but I think probably Steph would be most people's call because of the depth of his shot.
Will Golden State ever be the same? Losing?
Good question. A lot of people think so. I don't know. I'm more of a wait and see kind of guy. These are some horrific injuries that they're trying to come back from. They're still in their prime, although a little late in their prime. They're getting to be, how old's Steph now? Is he 30?
30, 31.
30, 31. They're starting to get on the downside of their prime. Tough neighborhood out west. You got a lot of clubs you got to overcome. Denver's really good. Obviously, the Lakers are good.
Oh, Murray, well, he's just around me. Where is he? He's from Kitchener originally.
Yeah. Another Canadian, right?
32. Sorry, he's 32 years old. 32.
Yeah, there you go. So, we'll see. They should be pretty good, but we'll see.
The team
They'll probably play 82 games.
The team I'm concerned about are the Nets. I'm kind of concerned about them because you know what? They had an okay year without all their good players. They had a good year all around. Now they have him bringing back KD. If he's going to come back, and all those great players. Will they be a team that is deep in the season? There's so many teams that are around.
Plus, you got a brand new coach who's never coached before.
And that's another thing. This is why I like Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was the assistant coach for Toronto. It was Dwayne Casey for a very long time. Dwayne went to Detroit. I know Atlanta likes to go to Detroit quite a while. You guys been there for a very long time. I always see you posting on Instagram. You're in Detroit. And it's a nice arena, Little Caesars Arena. And, man, oh, man, I'm kind of impressed with the Little Caesars Arena, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that, the Joe Louis Arena, they had more fans that used to attend more games and all that. The Little Caesars Arena is less. I've heard that people have been telling me. But we shall see. Now, I heard you have a book, the author of Fast Forward Winner.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Over the years, asked to speak to a lot of young people at career days and stuff like that. And I would go through some of the things that I thought were important because of the question I got, as you can imagine, Joe, is, so many people come up to me and say, I want to be a sportscaster just like you. What should I do? And so I wrote this sort of as a more of a manual than a book. It's a 6-step process that really anybody can go through. It's geared toward the youth market, but really it's for anybody. If you're contemplating a career change, it would help you. 6 steps that you go through, 3 that are inside you, and then 3 that are external to help you get to where you might want to go. Sometimes the new thing is a hobby, and sometimes the new thing is a new career. But I think these 6 steps will take you through that and come out the other side with something that's fun and tangible.
I'm very interested in that book. I'm going to actually get that book off your website. I looked at your website.
Okay. Thank you.
Very interested. And I have one last thing before I let you go. I know we're running out of time. Is there a way I could get a picture of you signed, mailed to me somehow? We could do something like that.
Yes.
I like that. Yes. Seriously, because
absolutely. In fact, I think I got one.
Best photo.
I will sign it and send it to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Bob,
just gonna send me the address.
I will, absolutely. I really can't thank you enough, man. Like everything you have said, I'm gonna push my goals further in life. I wanna accomplish a lot more in life. I'm blessed, like I said once again. I have a lot of supporters around me. There's a few steps that I gotta keep marching forward, and I believe one day I will be sitting beside you, hopefully.
I have no doubt.
Commentating for the Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors, because sports unites people, does not divide people. Seriously, sports is about love, about helping others, and about bringing people together. And we should always be honest. And as a commentator, we should always love each other. And you have to have a good personality. That's what Jack Armstrong said. You have to have a personality to be a broadcaster. And you have to love your job. If you don't love your job, then what are you doing? It's like waking up every single day, going to work. Yeah, you like it, but you don't really like it at the same time. You have to love your job to keep going consistent over and over again. And this is what I love about you. And you have motivated me through the years, and especially on my show. And I'll never forget this day, Bob. Seriously.
Well, I am honored to be on with you, and I know you'll do well. So stick with it.
Thank you. Have anything else to say?
No, I appreciate all the fans that have tuned in tonight, and cannot wait to get back to TO.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bob Redman, play-by-play Atlanta Hawks broadcaster. Thank you, man. Folks, I can't be more thankful and more honored having the Atlanta Hawks commentator on the Booni Believers show. That is truly remarkable. I can't thank God enough. I can't thank my family enough. And I can't thank these 2 amazing individuals, Jack Armstrong on Thursday. And we had just now, moments ago, the Atlanta Hawks come on the show. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Always believe in yourself. Always love yourself. How can if you can't love yourself, then how are you going to move forward in life? It's like this, folks. It's like a relationship. In a relationship, if you can't, how can you love like a girl over there? If you love that girl, but if you don't love yourself, how do you make a relationship like that? That's why we should always come together as a unit. And thank you very much, guys. Bob Redman from the Atlanta Hawks commentator. before we go, folks. Thank you guys. To all my fellow Americans and fellow Canadians, I can't thank you guys enough, and especially Bob Redman for coming on the show. It's an honor. See you guys next time.